rock band, the Beatles. Coming up next, a look back at the Beatles' only concert here in Kansas City, 25 years ago tonight. Of the oldies, it seems like most of the legendary rock bands have hit the road again after all these years. But for some folks, there is only one anniversary that matters at all. 25 years ago, the Beatles made their only appearance here in Kansas City. Now, you're used to seeing our Dave Helling covering politics, but this evening he shows his true colors as he takes a sentimental journey down Penny Lane.
There is, as far as we could tell, no publicly available video of the Beatles' Kansas City performance. There are, of course, pictures of the 1964 tour, and there are memories.
It was the most important thing in the world to us at the time because the Beatles were, you know, we lived and breathed the Beatles.
I don't know if we heard it on the news or saw it in the paper. It was like in August that, you know, Charles Finley was going to bring the Beatles to town.
I told Mr. Epstein that we'd like to have the Beatles Kansas City, and that I was in a position to offer them more money than had ever been offered a entertainer in the United States. And I said, what's the price? He said, $150,000. So I said, are you serious? He said, we certainly are. And I put my hand out and we shook hands and we had a deal.
You know, right away we were scheming to see how we could go to see this show in September.
Kansas City was interesting. We arrived at 1:30 in the morning. We drove to the hotel Muleback, and we couldn't get into the lobby because there were so many people in there. We all had a stake down there, including Mr. Epstein, who was their manager, who was their manager, who at that point met Chaco Finley. And they were still talking money in the at 2 o'clock in the morning in the coffee shop of the Muleback Hotel.
I felt at the time, and I feel the same way today, that, especially at that time, that today's Beatles in 1964 was tomorrow's baseball fans.
Now, we went door to door selling things and
Collecting pop bottles.
Hot bottles to the grocery store just to get enough money for $4.50, which doesn't seem like much now, but back then apparently it was to us.
The program was held at the old Municipal Stadium.
It was loud. I remember most the screaming. You could pick little bits and pieces of songs, but as far as hearing a whole song, it was pretty impossible.
Yeah. Mostly young people, young girls and their mothers seemed to enjoy it a great deal.
Could you hear?
Oh, certainly. You're standing there deaf. And they had the speakers extremely loud.
This whole thing was just such a happening. I mean, there was everything going on. The vendors were up way high in the bleachers, dancing. Everything was happening.
I think I had the best seat in the house. At least I should have had.
Oh, it's the real thing because the hotel manager of the Whittier Hotel and the Muhlenbeck Hotel signs an affidavit certifying that this is the Beatle bedding they slept on, and who slept on what sheet and belongs to who, Ringo, George, or Paul.
I think that their music has held up to today's standards. And I really do think that they are geniuses.
That's the wonderful thing about the music being so current, is it brings back wonderful memories, but yet it's not dated.
I don't know. I don't think there's ever been another group as good as the Beatles were.
Much has changed in 25 years, of course. The hotel where they stayed is closed. The airport where they landed is virtually deserted. The field where they played, here, 22nd and Brooklyn, is now, appropriately perhaps, a garden. And of course the Beatles themselves are gone, one of their members shot down by a madman. Only the music remains. Only the music has the freshness that so charmed us 25 years ago tonight in Kansas City. As one critic has written, didn't we have more fun than we ever thought possible? Wasn't it a great time to be alive? Dave Helling, Action 4 News at 10.
Well, you can find monarch butterflies all over Kansas City this time of the year. When we come back, Dick Hochter has an extended forecast that's just perfect for butterfly watching.